So if you've ever had a vehicle, you might have been driving along and noticed a vibration and you were like, where is that vibration coming from? What is going on? It doesn't necessarily have to be any type of particular vehicle. This video is going to cover a lot of things that you can check at home without getting somebody digging up in your old corn purse. We're going to show you some different ways of doing this. And luckily at this moment, we have new Mason here in the shop. He's going to be learning along with you. Other than the opener, this is going to be super simple, super quick, and we're going to keep them mechanics out of that old prison purse. So what's up, YouTube? My name is Clay with the Clay Way here in Muskegon, Michigan. And I believe my job here on YouTube is not only to inform you, but empower you by not only showing you how to do something, but explaining to you why you're doing it in the first place. Showing you that if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Making sure that we're teaching you not to be the next to them, but the first to you. So if this video ends up being helpful, please consider subscribing, clicking the notifications, give me one of them sweet old thumbs up. And if you have a question and it's automobile related, I can't help you with that old baby mama drama that you might have going on, you can ask that on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook Messenger. I don't collect information or any of that jazz. And if you want to help the channel out further, you can do all sorts of different things. But at the very least, if you're broke just like me, turn that volume down at nighttime, put on one of the sweet Clayway playlists, and let them suckers play from front to back. My tips and tricks videos are pretty interesting. Sometimes I do some really neat stuff. Anyways, we're going to get back to this video. I'll show you how this is done. So in this video, we're going to show you quite a few things. We're going to describe to you some things, and I might lead you to some other videos that I've produced in the past that are exceptional at showing you some of the things that I'm talking about down in the description. But if you have a shake or a shimmy, I'm going to try to cover just about everything it could possibly be. It's not going to be 100% people, so you forgot to cover this or you forgot to cover that. I'm going to show you what I can think about during the video and making it this kind of off the cuff, but it's going to be really good stuff. Now we want to check for a motor mount. We want to see if the motor mount is bad. What'll happen is if a motor mount breaks, the motor mount will come in contact with the body and transfer the energy from the engine to the body, which will make you feel a vibration, most often in your foot, because you'll feel it through acceleration and stuff like that. So how we want to check a motor mount for a bad motor mount is we want to start the vehicle, put our left foot on the brake. While holding the brake, we're going to shift the vehicle into reverse. And we're going to give it a small amount of gas, like maybe 1,000, 1,500 RPMs. Now we're going to let off the gas, and we're going to watch the engine at the same exact time. We're going to also do this procedure in drive as well, having our left foot on the brake and giving it a little bit of gas, kind of just letting it go like this, up and down, up and down. Now, if we have a bad motor mount, this engine will move up quite significantly. On this vehicle, we don't actually have a bad motor mount, but we're also going to repeat this process in reverse because there's generally a motor mount here, 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 and here. This one's obviously called the transmission motor mount. This is our front center motor mount, and that's our rear center motor mount. That's most often the case on 80 to 90% of the vehicles driving around on the road. So now he's going to do that procedure in reverse as well. You can give it just a little bit more gas while you're holding that brake. Make sure that you're not doing this with somebody who does not like you, because they can just let off that brake and run your ass over. So, if you want to go further into this particular scenario and you're not certain if it's bad or not, I have a great video. We'll put a card up here in the top so you can do that, and that link will be down in the description as well. Next, we're going to talk about tires and how they affect your vehicle. Now, more often than not, if you have an out of balance tire, it's going to happen between 45 miles an hour and 65 miles an hour. Most often, if the tire does not have a broken cord in it, you're not going to experience any vibration from tires except during them miles per hour. Now, you could also have a bad drive line, and we're going to get in the vehicle and describe that scenario to you as well. For right now, we have a trusted associate. This is one of those times when you need somebody trusted that doesn't hate you yet to do this procedure as well. So we've got the vehicle running. We're going to put the vehicle in reverse, and we're going to hold our foot on the brake. Now we want to look down at the drive shaft, and with the vehicle in park, sitting flat, when he goes to put it in park, we want to look at the U-joints in the drive shaft. Often they're found at the front of the drive shaft, or if yours has a carrier bearing like this one here, and at the rear where it goes into the differential. The differential is located there at the rear, so we're going to put this vehicle into gear 3 different times. Go ahead and put it into gear. As he puts it into gear, we're going to watch the drive shaft. Can you put it out of gear now? Now hold your foot on the brake and put it in gear again, please. We don't see any movement between our drive shaft, but we need to do some other tests while we're driving and make sure that this isn't a problem. So we're going to go ahead once more and look at the front yokes, put it out of gear, put it in gear, and because we don't see any play there, we probably don't have any bad U-joints. So now we need to do some driving tests to check things out a little bit further. While the person is operating the transmission inside the vehicle, we're actually looking for 2 separate movements between the 2 connecting parts of the drive shaft. If we see 2 separate movements, then we have a problem. If they all move together as one, then we're just fine. All right, to elaborate further on what I'm saying, you would take one hand on one side of the drive shaft and then the other hand on the other side of the drive shaft, and you would spin that, or you would try to turn them against one another. And if this portion is sloppy in here, unlike this particular drive shaft, then you have a bad U-joint. In this situation, it's definitely not a U-joint, but we're getting a lot closer to finding out what the problem is with this vehicle. Now, there's several ways while you're driving an automobile to check and see if you have like a differential problem in your rear end or in your front end or something like that. Most often, if you have a vibration coming from a differential, be it the front or the rear, when you give it gas, your pitch of the noise will change. So it'll get louder or it'll be definite. And when you let off the gas, it won't make as much noise, because what's happening is your drive shaft, as you give it gas, is applying pressure down on a bearing that's probably defective, either in the front differential or the rear differential. And that's the reason that when you give it gas and you let off the gas, it's going to change noises. In this situation, we don't have a bad differential or a bad drive line. We've got another problem, but we're going to go on to that one next and talk about what that could be. Now, let's say there's several different ways to check for a bad wheel bearing. Let's say we had a bad wheel bearing. Right now, we're cruising along right around 40 miles an hour. If we were to take the wheel and go like this, and we had a humming noise underneath the drive line, it would change pitch, because the wheel would be doing this, affecting the bearing differently, applying pressure to different parts of the wheel, making the wheel bearing change. Once again, in this situation, we don't have that problem either, but I have really good video on that. You can click on the card up in the top or look down in the description for a link to that video. In addition to moving the wheel back and forth and having the pitch change noises, there's another way to check wheel bearing. You're going to jack the vehicle up, put it in neutral, and we're going to take and spin the wheel as we put one arm on the spring. And if this is our affected wheel bearing, we will feel it through our right arm, in this situation, right here in the coils. Now, if you don't feel it in that coil, go to the next wheel, go to the next wheel. And if you didn't hit the right one at the first time, one spring's going to feel that way and one's not. If you're dealing with the rear of the vehicle, you're going to put your hand on the shock. And the reason that that works is because the two are connected by metal. This has got a direct connection, metal connection to the front end. We'll take off the wheel and we'll show you that. All right, so the reason that that works is because this is bolted directly to our strut, and because there's no rubber in between these points, that energy will transfer from that wheel bearing up into this stem, and because there's no rubber isolators on this strut right here, we can feel it in our fingertips. If there were rubber isolators on the strut, then we would just touch the base of the strut and we would be able to feel it through our fingertips there. Now on to what the actual problem was with this. We had a vibration at takeoff and at stopping. We had pulsation during the stopping procedure, so forth and so on. So we've got a brand new caliper on here. What was happening was that caliper was staying stuck in and allowing this to heat up, always trying to stop this wheel. Now, we didn't know that because our engine creates horsepower and we're able to, just go, and it doesn't really feel all that much different. But because the caliper wasn't releasing, was sending a vibration through the whole vehicle, even at 10 miles an hour, all the way down. Now, let's say you get inside your automobile and that automobile is feeling shaky right when you take off. Drive it for a little while and then get out and be really careful. Put your hand a little bit of a distance away from that wheel. If you can feel heat coming off that wheel, that caliper or whatever caliper is connected to that actual wheel is defective. Going around the vehicle and checking the other wheels, checking for heat. If you get too hot, if you get too close, it might burn your fingers, literally. But you should be able to put your hand on any wheel at any time, even after you've driven a great distance, without it even really affecting you. Of course, it could be a little bit warm, but it's not going to be dramatically warm like one that has a caliper coming off there. This will also be joined by a terrible smell that you may recognize as a brake burning smell from like semis. That'll happen on your automobile, and you'll know for sure that you have a bad caliper. If you recognize this problem in your situation, I highly recommend disassembling it and checking it out, because it could just be stuck pins. In a worst case scenario, if you have a caliper that seizes up, the wheel could start smoking, and then it could start spewing out brake fluid, which then in turn is going to be very, very dangerous. And something that is not super appropriate, but a possible way to get you by until you can replace that caliper is we can block off that brake line going to that particular caliper. And in this situation, this just happened to me on my Range Rover as well. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, you're super YouTube baller, Clay. You got a Range Rover. Well, I paid $600 for this thing. Don't worry. I'm just as broke as you. So what we can do is we can get down, and there's two different ways that we can block this line off. Now, we could find the metal portion of the line, which is in this situation right here, and we could crimp that off. The problem with that scenario is that means we're going to have to make a new line for that eventually, and if we end up taking it to the service shop, it's going to be even more pricey to have it repaired, along with bleeding the brakes and putting a caliper on there. Or we can take a simple hose clamp like this one from Lyle and clamp off the rubber portion of the hose, which then in turn will stop this brake caliper from receiving fluid and getting rid of the lock or leaking fluid out of it until we repair it. Now, if we clamp off this line like this, it is a possibility that we could affect the rubber hose. That's why I use this style clamp, because normally they won't hurt the rubber hose. I can't say that's 100% for sure. Some other possibilities are you could use a pair of vice grips or even a C-clamp. The reason I didn't use vice grips or a C-clamp is because vice grips are bulky and they could get caught up in the wheel. And a C-clamp, I just didn't have one, but it could have the same effect as well. So using these small little clamps from Lyle or whatever you find on the interwebs, they're really affordable. They're only like 10 or 15 bucks for a pair of them, and they come in great in a pinch. So I needed to make sure that you understood the safety precautions behind doing the clamp on the brake line. It's not that big a deal, but you want to get inside the car and you want to get a feel of how them brakes work once you do that, if you decide to go that direction, until you can get it whatever. So don't take it out on the racetrack and be trying to, you know, do the fastest lap or anything like that, or be going through traffic like a nut like some of you do. Well, hopefully you folks found that informative and you feel a little bit more empowered to just check some of this stuff out yourself. I'm certain that Mason actually learned something from this video too, just like you. Remember, if anyone else can do it, you can do it too. Success is always there. There just needs to be more people chasing after it. If you tried this procedure and you were successful at finding it, and even if you weren't, and you want to meet my real hero, just go look in the mirror. You'll see him right away. If you've got a question for me, you can hit me up on Clay's AC and Auto Repair on the Facebook Messenger. I can't help you with that baby mama drama, but I may be able to help you fix that ride. Don't be the next to them, be the first of you. And if you want, at nighttime, put on one of the Clayway Sweet playlists, turn that old volume down, let them suckers play. Consider subscribing to the channel, give me them big old thumbs up, sending me a nice comment. God bless you folks. Have the best of days.